Hey everybody, Edo here, and today for this week's League video, I want to tell you about the things that I am doing differently for the Sunset Over Water campaign. I did this for Legendary Creatures, and I think a lot of people appreciated it and found it very interesting, so I wanted to do it again for Sunset Over Water. Let's get the plug-in out of the way. Sunset Over Water launches Tuesday, October 3rd, and I would very much appreciate you checking it out, supporting it, all that good stuff. Setting that aside, I have linked the preview page in the description, so when I'm talking about some of the things in this video, you can check it out. Also, one of the things I think we need to start with for Sunset Over Water is Herbaceous. So this is made by the same team. It's Steve with design, Beth Sobel's incredible art, Keith Mateka's doing the solo play, Ben Schulman's doing the graphic design, I'm handling the overall production and project lead, and actually I guess Helen came in to do Some Awesome Meeples. So the whole vibe walking into this game was we made Herbaceous together, loved it, loved the audience, loved what it was all about, and wanted to do it again. And so having that Herbaceous baseline helped make sure that we were making an easy, accessible, beautiful game for everyone type experience. And that's not only flowed through the production and development of the game, but also in terms of the Kickstarter. So in some ways I've drawn more similarities from Herbaceous and the Herbaceous Kickstarter than necessarily Legendary Creatures, but I'll talk about that. So again, Tuesday, October 3rd. Check it out. Okay, to jump in, first and foremost, crazy, this is a 13-day campaign. Things I'm doing differently. This is a short campaign. It's Tuesday to Monday. I had thought about doing Tuesday to Thursday, which is what I've typically done in the past, but I looked back at Herbaceous and I ended Herbaceous on Monday. And Herbaceous was a great campaign, so I was like, well, it did it. And going from 3 weeks to 2, you know, the mid-campaign's hard, and I feel like a lot of the interest and excitement around Herbaceous and Sunset Over Water is clear and present, so I feel like the people who are going to find out about it will know about it sort of quickly. And I also want to make sure to get the product ready for Mother's Day in May of next year, so I don't want to have the campaign go too long. Could I have done another week? Sure. I sort of wanted to try a 2-week campaign. To me, bar none, that is what is big, exciting, and different, at least as far as campaign Kickstarter is that this is 2 weeks. There are not that many people who are doing 2-week campaigns. So, dropping in a little bit more, so the big thing was the campaign, Tuesday to a Monday. I also took a different approach with video. You know, Legendary Creatures got expensive and we did a lot of work on the video, and I wanted to do something that was a little bit more modest and honest. Not honest isn't the right word, but just more direct. Herbaceous felt that way. Herbaceous was a lot of hand showing the cards and arguably lower quality, but just more creator. And so we were talking, and I was talking with Beth, and Beth had shared some video of her doing speed painting, right? Like painting at her normal speed, but sped up. And I thought, that might be cool to bring into a video. And I love showing a play session of people playing the game. So I maybe get some people to film playing the game and having fun. And then I'll just do the edge spiel at the end. And so that's what I did. I feel like it came out pretty well. And it's just, I think, for the different campaigns, it's okay to consider something that doesn't feel like a $1,000 Kickstarter video. I could be wrong, right? The thing about these, what I did differently is part one is before I know whether it was a good decision or not, right? So, I have notes over here for those who wonder what I'm looking at. But so, another change is in the Legendary Creatures campaign, I ended up moving shipping back into the campaign page. I had a shipping section, all the details, which was atypical for me. Previously, I had been doing it in the tiers. I felt like it created more confusion. It didn't really do it for me. I know it's more common, but I went back to what I normally had done, which is I just have the reward, and then I have in the text, shipping, US, Canada, EU, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what I decided to do there. Also, per my thoughts from Legendary Creatures, I went back to having a duo, to having a 2-unit campaign, and made it sort of like get Sunset Over Water and a gift for Mother's Day or a gift for whatever, so that I'm sort of promoting this idea of buying 2 copies for the purpose of keeping one and sharing one. I don't know how well that will do, but certainly I felt like when I didn't have a duo tier, which is what was in the case in Legendary Creatures, people just didn't think that way. So we'll see. But it's also really very shareable, wonderful, sort of entry-level game, so I think it's appropriate to have that. But we'll find out. The other change I did was on the review side, I reached out to a number of the usual reviewers who have reviewed a number of campaigns, but I also said, you know what, I want to try some new folks, some people who perhaps don't have as big a channel as others, or more blog and podcasts and others. So I just had an open who's interested sort of board game thread, and I went with people who I had not gone with before. So I have a number of new reviewers, and the other thing that I have, which is interesting, is I actually have a note at the bottom of the review sections that says none of these reviews were paid for, which is true in this case, and reviewers were provided a copy of the game, and if everything funds, we'll get a final copy as a courtesy, which I believe in. So some other campaign, the Flux guys did that kind of thing, I believe, but it was like aggressive and it had a big warning, and it was like support independent development. I don't want to do that. I was just going for a little note that was just like, hey, for those who are curious about this sort of thing, boop. And we'll see what people think about that. But, I thought it was okay. And, I don't think it would be a trend or anything, but I thought it was okay. So from Legendary Creatures, something that stayed the same was I liked having that sort of big intro image on the sort of right when you hit the page showing the components and stuff above the component section, and I've included that move forward. And also, in terms of shipping and stuff, I haven't made a lot of changes from the Legendary Creature shipping, and so I'm EU friendly, but I'm not like worldwide friendly or whatever that might be. So that's sort of how I've approached that. The other big thing that happened was I tried to look back towards Herbaceous and have a vibe of the Herbaceous page, some of the language in the preview video is the same. The formatting of a lot of the sections is the same. And it's not that I'm copying, but I know a lot of people really... That was, for me, a wildly successful campaign, and in particular because it resonated with people. So when something resonates, you don't want to change the resonance. So again, in terms of the delivery, the format, the layout, I mimicked it a little bit so that somebody who had seen the Herbaceous campaign might say, oh, this looks like the Herbaceous. I get it. I get what they're trying to do. And I think as a backer, since Herbaceous has been a very beloved is too big a word, but enjoyed game where people have really, it delivered on time. People liked the quality. It was a success. I think that's what will translate through when people see the campaign pages. I actually had a section where I talk about Herbaceous, and one from the makers of Herbaceous, and I include a couple of the awards Herbaceous has received, and then at the bottom I have a review from it, so that, again, is doubling down on that. Something that I thought was really fun, it was sort of perchance, is Ben... Well, so originally, when we were thinking about names, one of the names we were talking about for Sunset Over Water was Wanderlust, but I went to BGG and some guy has some prototype for that title, and we walked away. But when we were making the solo campaign, I think it was Ben. I don't remember. I'm probably Ben's idea. Maybe it was mine. I don't remember the conversation. But we brought that name back in, so we have a named solo version, and it's cool. I like it. It pops, which I think is important. Mother's Day, same thing as I did with Herbaceous, where objective is to have it ready for a Mother's Day gift, and then there's a little note. If it's not going to happen, we'll give you a card. Because things do happen, but I'm bullish. But that's one of the reasons for the quicker campaign, if you will, just to be ready to get going. Print and play back in, we've put it in. This is sort of a grayscale print and play type approach, but we added it. We did a couple cool things with the print and play. One is, since the game is so vibrant on Beth's art, that it carries a lot of the sort of, I look over there and I'm looking for a mountain and there's some mountains. Since we don't have that, we sort of blew up some of the icons to make them bigger, to sort of make it more conducive to play, though they're a little bit different than the end game is. So it's a little bit more playing it's more prototypey in that regard, but I think in a good way. And we also like made little miniature meeples and stuff. Did the meeples working with Helen Zhu. Shout out to Helen. She is doing amazing meeple work. She's going to revolutionize the industry. But no, she's awesome and so cool. Oh, and my mom, she's in town basically once a year. I get to see her. And it just so happens that she came when I was preparing for another Kickstarter a year later. And we played Sunset Over Water. She liked it. And I asked her if she wanted to do a review. And she said sure, and we went through that whole thing, and I think it came out well. I did the solo review, but so that was another thing. Like, people who remember my mom from the first game will come back and see the second. So I'm curious about, as I've said before, there's no sure bets. Kickstarter's hard. You always need to be evaluating and reevaluating how you approach it. I feel the campaign's well positioned. I think that it'll have a reasonable funding goal, so I'm reasonably confident it will fund. But where it tiers out as sort of doesn't capture that herbaceous sort of top and just does okay, okay being funding, so that's awesome, right? So it just funds. Or it sort of has that herbaceous track where it like does really well, which I think Herbaceous did. Or the fact that since Herbaceous has gone out, that game I've actually now done another run, and I'm getting ready to do another run of, that growth in the audience will translate to a larger campaign than Herbaceous. I don't know. That would be cool, but who knows for sure? The biggest thing I'm going to be curious about is that shorter campaign time, and just if the sort of stepping backwards from sort of the higher craze of what a Kickstarter campaign does and just sitting into sort of what is a comfortable, approachable campaign will work. So anyway, those are the things. Hopefully this is useful. Check out the page to see it. Hit the notify me button. That'd be awesome. And join us on October 3rd to make this game a reality, because it really is a whole lot of fun. Towards the end of the campaign or after the campaign, I'll do a follow-up where I'll say like I did a part 2 for Legendary Creatures. Here's what worked, here's what didn't, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.